Welcome to the new tutorial series in which we will learn together how to hack websites. I'm recording this series to share with you what I do in my free time. Believe me, hacking helps develop the ability to think outside the box. Remember that this video is for educational purposes only. First, I downloaded Burp Suite Community Edition, which we will use to solve the labs. Then I created a free account on Portswigger Web Security Academy website by providing my email address and following the confirmation link I received. I have already opened the Burp browser and logged into my account. If you go to all labs tab, you can see the complete list of available labs. We will start with the first one. Each lab contains a short description that gives only the essential details needed to complete it, nothing more, and a button you can use to access it. Your account status is being updated automatically to show which labs you have solved. There is also a solution description, however, be aware that sometimes there is more than one way to solve the lab. Let's read the lab description first. This lab contains a SQL injection vulnerability in the product category filter. When the user selects a category, the application carries out a SQL query like the following. Select from products where category equals, for example, gifts, and released equals 1. To solve the lab, perform a SQL injection attack that causes the application to display one or more unreleased products. Let me repeat that again. Perform a SQL injection attack that causes the application to display one or more unreleased products. Okay, let's do this. We need to find the product category filter and see how the application sends and the selected category in the request. I will select the tech gifts category as an example. Because Burp is acting as a proxy between your browser and the application, we can inspect the HTTP traffic. So we can see all requests our browser sends and responses it receives. Please have a look at this. A filter, question mark, category equals tech plus gifts combination in URL here. The site uses this value tech gifts inside a SQL query like the one shown in the description. So when category equals tech gifts, the database returns products in the tech gifts category where released equals 1. We want to force the application to return one or more unreleased products. The easiest way to achieve it and solve the lab is to inject a condition that's always true. So the release equals 1 check no longer restricts our results. Let me explain this in detail. SQL injection is a technique where someone injects a piece of SQL code into, for example, a URL parameter, as in our case, to change the logic of the query sent to the database. This is the original SQL query. In our case, we want to change the logic of this query so that the application returns all products, including those that are unreleased. Therefore, we want the SQL query to look like this. The fragment or 1 equals 1 adds a condition that is always true because 1 always equals 1. This is exactly what we need to add to achieve that effect. The goal of the payload is to break the normal value and inject custom logic. That's why we start with a single quote. It closes the original string, and from that point on, the following text is no longer treated as a category value, but as a part of the SQL code. However, that alone is not enough because the fragment end released equals 1 will still remain in the query. To get rid of it, we can comment it out. In SQL, comment starts with 2 dashes, so we need to add this symbol to our payload. Therefore, the payload that we will place in the category parameter in the URL in Burp will look like this: single quote, space, or space, 1 equals 1, space, 2 dashes. If you don't understand the logic behind it, I highly recommend getting familiar with the basics of SQL. Now I will send the request to Burp repeater and replace the category value with our malicious payload. So instead of category tech gifts, we set category equals single quote, space, or space, 1 equals 1, space, 2 dashes. So this time, instead of showing only products in the tech gifts category, we want to display all products, which ensures that we will see both released and unreleased items. This functionality is not normally available on the website. However, since we are imitating the behavior of a real hacker who wants to do something unusual and unexpected in the application, we should think like a hacker. However, this payload in the current form will not work. You need to URL encode your payload so that special characters like quotes or spaces are transmitted correctly and interpreted as we expect. I will use the coder to do this. Send it. And it works. You can see that the response now lists all products, including those that are unreleased, exactly what the lab asked for. We can render the response in the browser view. Also, the lab is now marked as solved. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions or issues, leave a comment below. I will try to help out. See you in the next tutorial.